Welcome to our sportscast of Denver Sports. Our working title is Denver Sports with Coach Joe and Rob. We're hoping Coach Joe gets here. Probably traffic, something got him. So he is hopefully on his way. Coach Sean Payton responded to my text a week ago. I'll tell you what that response was. I'm Rob Blasi. Coach Joe White is on his way. Today we are talking all things Denver Broncos. Last week, preseason game 2. We're going to recap that. I was supposed to be at the Ed Sheeran concert at Mile High with about 85,000 of my closest friends. But there is about a 2.5 or a 3 hour rain delay, weather delay. So I was watching the games and the screens on the concourse. Try to invite Coach Joe again. He's trying to log in. So I was supposed to be at the Ed Sheeran concert, which I did go to. It was quite amazing if you were there. 85,000 record attendance at Mile High. How cool was that for anyone there who saw the show? Great performance. It was either that my wife let me pick Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift, and I picked Ed. So I'm happy with my selection. So last week I texted Coach Sean Payton. He responded to my text. You know what he said? He said, new number, who dis? So that was nice. That was nice to Coach. So, which is fine. So, Broncos preseason game 2, similar results to game 1. Do we care? Do we care? Losing by 1 at the end with players playing that probably aren't going to be in the games in regular season games anyway. But does winning matter? There he is. He's in the room.
I was on Riverside.
Oh, you went to the old one. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. Yep. Coach, that's why we show up 15 minutes to practice.
Yeah, I was. Right? I've been sitting on it for like 10 minutes. I'm like, what's going on?
So
sorry about that.
So preseason game 1 or game 2, Coach, similar results to game 1. Do we care?
Not really. I see a lot of good things, Rob. I really do. I think they're on the right track. I'm a little worried about what happened today, but some of the things I took from the other day, their running the ball was pretty impressive. Broncos got, I think it was like 1st and goal from the 8, and they ran the ball pretty much right up the middle. But what I noticed on that play was the offensive line got off the ball and drove the 49ers back off the ball, and their guard got up. The guard got up to the second level and sealed off the linebacker, and our running back went in untouched. It was really impressive. Now, they still got a lot of work to do with their pass sets and so forth. I think they got to get better with that, but I was pretty impressed with some of that stuff the other night.
I watched a lot of it in the concourse. Before you got on, I don't know if you heard, I was supposed to be watching Ed Sheeran perform at Mile High.
Yeah.
But there was a 2.5 hour weather delay. So I watched most of the game in the concourse.
What'd you think?
Russell Wilson got 1 drive. That's the other real question I have for you. Russell Wilson had 1 drive, about 14 plays. Big deal or no big deal?
No big deal. I think they're getting
they put Jared Stidham in there with the ones.
Yeah, they're getting some good work this week with the Rams and so forth. I know people are looking at things because here's what I think. Okay, I think we are all so we are not in a good place because of what has happened the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have to trust that the guy that's running the team now had so many winning seasons for one of the worst organizations in football, and that he's going to make sure that things get done. That's my confidence. I don't see a lot of the stuff that happened last year. You know, it was a what show last year with some of the stuff that went on. I don't see that. I see a completely different team in terms of their discipline. Their wide receivers had way too many penalties the other night. Wanted to talk a little bit about that today if we have time, but I just see a lot different things this time around. And
Coach, you know what I think was going on in game 1 there when they pulled Russell Wilson?
What's that?
I think he legitimately pulled Russell Wilson and wants to see what Jared Stidham looks like with the ones against other good players. I think it was an honest look to go, boy, if Russell Wilson doesn't work out early and I got to take him out, what are my real options? He was figuring it out. I don't think it was like, oh, we want to keep Russell Wilson safe and exposing what offense we're going to run. I don't think we're running that delicate or intricate of an offense where defensive coaches are trying to scheme like who this is going to be. Like if Russell doesn't see it in 2 or 3 seconds, he's running. That's the offense. It's not a mystery. These guys know it. And what he's trying to figure out is like, can Stidham run the offense better or close enough where if he gets upset enough with Wilson for taking off too quick and not, running the offense that he wants, he's like, I want to have a real shot. I want him to know that there's someone behind him making him work to do it the way we want him to do it. That's what I think Coach Sean Payton was saying.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I think anytime you have the quarterback situation, you always want to make sure your number 2 guys is going to be good enough with the number 1s.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you that I've been thinking about a lot.
It's how I became so good looking. I work out. I do some sit-ups.
I get it.
I try to eat some strawberries and blueberries from time to time.
Do they go get Trey Lance from San Francisco?
Absolutely not. I think he's already the 3rd stringer against Mr. Irrelevant and a guy that's been traded 3 times. If he's not there already, and that's absolutely not. Like there's other guys that we'll talk about this as one of my questions for you today is like what room needs the most improvement in the position groups for the Broncos. We'll talk about that here coming up. And as you've invested enough, you spent enough money on the quarterback room that we already have issues with depth. Like we can't sacrifice much more to try to make that room any better. At this point, you sort of hit the reset button later if it's that bad.
Okay. But my only thought process is on this. Let's say Russell's not the guy. So we're halfway through the season. Russell's not the guy.
I'm not even to game 1 of the season. I'm already going, I don't think Russell Wilson's the guy.
Okay. So
I like him as a person. I think he'd be like some fun neighbor to have.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just say that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've talked about this last week. We talked about, okay, if this happens and they finish, 7-8 or 9-8 or 8-9, whatever it is. Yep. And they finish there in the middle of the pack. We know we're not going to get a top tier quarterback in the draft. Here's a guy that was traded up, gave up 3 number 1 picks for, and number 2 pick in the draft. And I look at it differently because I don't see him as a bust. I see him as a guy that got hurt badly last year. So he didn't have any development at all. Okay. I think the 49ers, once Brock Purdy had a good year, kind of set themselves on Brock Purdy, and they want a veteran as the backup. They don't want to have 2 like 1st or 2nd year guys as the only quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guy that could possibly develop. It's not like he's a guy that's had a lot of chances in the NFL. He hasn't had any chance.
What would you be willing to give up for a shot at Trey Lance?
they're in trouble, right? They don't have any. The 49ers don't have any bargaining power on that, right? He's their third string quarterback now. So
Like,
flip him a 5th round pick and bring him over here and see what and develop him.
if you're talking 5th, 6th, or couple 7s or something like
Yeah.
that, like that, at that point, I don't care. But I just don't think they're going to part for him for that cheaply. I think he's still an insurance policy for him. I
don't know. I don't know if anybody's going to give him anything better than that.
I think
because they know they have him by the barrel.
Yeah, but I think Shanahan's smart enough to find ways to use Trey Lance if he needs to, in like Tebow packages when he was in college or something like that. Different packages to put him in there, more of a wildcat type package. So
we'll see.
I just don't think it, because like I just don't trust the quarterback room in general, and I don't think adding Trey Lance it may excite the news media for a day.
It's intriguing to me. I can tell you that it's intriguing.
Like if you got it cheap, it was like on sale, like in the corner, like a Walmart with the yellow tags. Like, is it only this much, really? Like, and you want to scan it to double check it's really that cheap. If it's that type of price, that's where I'm looking to go. Like, okay,
fine.
Maybe.
Let's see if they'll bite on it.
Yeah, I think Sean Payton. I think they have faith enough in Russell Wilson. I think the drive one and pulling him out after 13 plays is the example of kind of like lying with numbers. It's like you had 13 plays, but only got 40 yards. It was like maybe 43.
But I think Russell looked pretty good the other night, to be honest with you. He kind of, he used his legs a lot. The one thing they didn't do, and this is the other thing I wanted to bring up with you, I know Judy got hurt today. I've been hearing a lot of people coming down hard on Judy this week and so forth. Then I just sit there and say, Jerry Jeudy, Drew Lock, those guys came in here with they didn't have any chance to develop. Jerry Judy's first 2 years, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he do most? What did he do most in those first 2 years with Pat Shurmur as offense coordinator?
Probably not much. I don't probably drop the ball.
He dropped some passes. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. The biggest thing that Jerry Jeudy did in his first 2 years, the way the Broncos used him, was using him as a decoy on a jet sweep motion where he would just run across the field. They would snap the ball, turn around, hand it the other way. That's what they used him for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't blame that on Jerry Jeudy, and I don't blame him getting frustrated that they used him that way. They did not get him the ball. Okay.
They didn't know how to get him the ball, and they had subpar quarterbacks trying to get him the ball. And like when Fangio was here, let's be honest, the defense was the priority, not the offense.
Yeah.
And last year was I would consider, in the best case scenario, a train wreck, which dependent positions look bad in general. So like, I actually think Judy's got a really high ceiling. I think there's probably a lot of teams around the league that think really highly of him. I just don't think he's had the opportunities here in Denver.
I agree.
And I think Russell Wilson will want to get him the ball because he likes throwing the ball down the field, and Judy likes going down the field. I think it's a great opportunity for both. So, look, you were talking about last week what we want to get to this week. Well, first off, do you ever watching Swamp Kings on Netflix? That miniseries about the Florida Gators.
I'm going to. I have not yet.
Because you know what they had on that Florida Gators team back when they were winning champions? They had some dudes.
They had dudes. So they did have some dudes, no doubt.
That or his dudeness or Duder or, El Duderino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
So you have you want to point out some dudes, some guys that played who were of the preseason game too, some guys that were, as you call them, coaches' dudes.
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
Nick Benito is a dude.
Okay.
I believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. The little running back, free agent running back, McLaughlin.
Okay, yeah,
is a dude. I think DJ Jones is a dude for the Broncos. I really do. And I'll be honest with you, one of the greatest things I saw the other night was our running back. Unbelievable
It was great to see him out there, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
Under a year after, like, reconstructive, basically the holy trifecta on the knee.
You would not have known that he had surgery. I was amazed by how hard he was running. He looked good in space. He's a dude. He's a dude.
You've coached a long time, more at the high school level. Have you seen guys come back from similar type knee injuries?
Not that fast.
Yeah, I have one of my good friend of this day. He played Division I basketball, and he crammed 4 years of college into 6, and so because he had 5 knee surgeries in 6 years, bro. And you're just going, oh my goodness! I mean, every time it just couldn't stay healthy, and fluke things. So it's just when you see guys,
what happened to him last year in the Raiders game. I didn't know if he had come back. I'll be honest with you. And watching him play the other night, I was so happy, not only just for the Broncos and all of us Bronco fans, because I'm a huge Bronco fan, but for the kid. I mean, I still call him a kid. He's still young.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the amount of work that he had to put in to get back and look like that in that short of a time,
mm-hmm.
People have no idea. It's unbelievable. And he looked great. He looked awesome, to be honest with you. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
You know who my dude of the game was?
Who's that?
Sean Payton, Coach Payton.
Okay.
I think, like I've said it since day one, I think he's righting the ship, but I think this year it's going to be some choppy waters. Did I tell you that he returned my text that we texted him last week?
Really?
He returned my text. He said, "Who dis? New number."
I think Sean Payton's a big time dude. That's why I keep saying the Broncos are going to be better this year.
Here's the thing: I'm a believer. Sometimes things get broken worse to get better. I'm getting my shoulder fixed with a physical therapist. It hurts for days after he works on it, but guess what? It's getting better.
Yeah, but it can happen in this situation a little faster than I think what you think.
I don't think that I will keep talking about this, but I think their depth is so shallow, and I think it shows in the preseason games. I think it shows in so many areas, especially now with the Judy injury with the hamstring. Because like with a hamstring injury, what's the prognosis on that? 4 to 6 weeks, probably.
We'll see. I hope it's not long. I really was expecting some big things from him. They didn't throw the ball to wide receivers the other night, hardly at all.
Yeah.
I'll give you an area of concern for me.
Mm-hmm.
Our secondary. I'm kind of tired of watching guys in the first 2 preseason games be wide open.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the completion percentage for the Cardinals and for the 49ers the other night, it's really high. And we've got to get off the field, on third downs. I know we didn't give up a lot of points in the first half and so forth, but we're giving up way too many easy catches.
So let me ask you this, then. You started off with our way too early predictions of the Broncos. You started off with them winning 11 games. Do you still feel good about? Are you good? Are you holding strong on 11 wins?
Yeah, I'm good with it because I still think probably the coverages they're running and some of that stuff in the preseason, they're probably not showing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking. But it is concerning to me. The wide receivers blocking is a concern for me. It's a little thing that people might overlook, but it's a big thing. You think about Terrell Davis's years when he was 2,000 yards and all that. Our wide receivers were gamers out there.
Yeah, like McCaffrey, Rod Smith.
Oh man, they blocked and they did the things that they needed to do. Our wide receivers were lazy the other night. All holding is a lack of feet. You're not using your feet to move your body to get in position. You reach and grab instead of using your feet. It's not hard.
It's like defense in basketball. Can you move your feet?
Yes, that's what it is. It's just move your feet, get yourself between you and where the ball carrier is going to be. That's really all you have to do. It's not that hard. But when you stop your feet and you get lazy, I don't know. You remember the play that Jerry Jeudy went out for the pass and Russ Wilson kind of overthrew him, but Jerry Jeudy
There's so many of those. I can't keep track of all those.
Well, it happened the other night.
Surprise! It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen next time he gets into a game.
Yeah, it probably will. But he ran to the receiver. I mean, to the defensive back.
Yep.
Defensive back stopped his feet. Jeudy made the move. because the defensive back stopped his feet, he grabbed Judy by the shoulder pad a couple times and slowed him down. When you stop your feet, you're going to hold. And it's as simple as that. And they have to start work. They got to take care of the small things like that. And that's where I think when they watch the film this week and so forth, that's where I think Peyton and the coaches are just better than what we've had. And they're going to get that taken care of. That's where I have the confidence.
I think they'll get it taken care of to the level they can with the skills they have, with the ingredients they have in the kitchen. That is for sure. Speaking of ingredients in the kitchen, Jonathan Taylor, running back of the Colts, is rumored to potentially as a Broncos top landing spot. Cecil Lammey of 104.3, The Fan, was stated as the Broncos are interested because they were also interested in Delvin Cook. Are you interested in paying that price? Also, who needs to step up? But first, Capital Financial. Where do you need to step up in your retirement? We need to thank America's Wealth Financial and Income Coach, Coach Pete DeRuda, founding partner of Capital Financial. If you're nearing retirement or just have questions of your future retirement income, reach out to Coach Pete and his team at Capital Financial at 877-359-1969 or go to retirementhelpcenter.com. Free retirement information for you there as well at retirementhelpcenter.com, or just call 877-359-1969. So, Coach, Jonathan Taylor of the Colts to the Broncos. It's a rumor. There's interest. The Broncos were also rumored now to be, their interest in Delvin Cook was much higher than rumor. They're good at keeping a lid on things now over there. That's what Cecil Lammey of The Fan and denversports.com is saying. What are your thoughts?
Don't need them. I think we have 3 good running backs right now. Be honest with you. I even kind of like the 4th guy. I can't think of his name, but we have.
Sounds like a Bronco right there. I don't remember his name either.
Yeah, our three top running backs can play, and to give up what they're going to have to give up to get Taylor, I don't see it. I want to get some draft capital moving forward, not give up draft capital. To me, that feels like we're moving back when we already have some guys that can play there. P. Ryan, he looks good, man. He gets after it. He will attack you when he's got the ball in his hands. He's not waiting around. He's going to go attack you. And that's what they have at the running back. And they have a guy now that McLaughlin who can make some moves. He's kind of a different kind of back that they can put in there. I just don't think that they need that right now, to be honest with you. For that price.
Yeah, right now they're saying Irsay wants at least a first rounder or something equivalent, or starters. And with the starters we gave up to get our coaches and quarterback, the pickings are pretty thin on that, unless they're future picks. But I like the player. And it's funny where I think Irsay, and I think he's gaming the system, by the way, is what Irsay's doing. Yeah. I don't think he's wants to give him up. He just wants to know what the price tag is.
Yeah.
What's the real price tag for him? So I think it's kind of shady. It's underhanded. But that's what billionaires do, I guess. So, but I would love to see Jonathan Taylor on the Broncos. I think.
Oh, I would too. I just think the price is too high.
I think in any trade, when you get the best player, you win the trade. Even with the Russell Wilson to Seattle one, I think that one may be different just because of the volume of players and football more being a team sport. I look at things more like from maybe a basketball, baseball perspective in that sense, where it's like if you get the best player, but you had to give up a lot of other players, so what? You got the best player.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. They gave up way, in hindsight's 2020, but I think even when the trade happened, they gave up way too much to get Russell Wilson.
Football is such a depth sport that when you give up, they gave up 3 starters and Drew Lock. I don't count Drew Lock as a starter, but they, a solid number 2 quarterback plus 4 picks. So it's like 7 picks, 7 starters. And then when you add Sean Payton to the mix for the trade, 8 starters, which is, out of 22, you're talking about a third of your starters are gone. And then it's just the ripple effect down. And so,
and I'm going to be honest with you, Rob, and I might be the only one who.
Wait, you're going to be honest with me now? Yeah. All right, I'll take it.
I think that Drew Lock is a dude.
You think he's a dude?
I think he's a dude, and I've been saying that since we drafted him. don't know if you remember his rookie season. He got to play the last 5 games and went 4-1
Mm-hmm.
and was really good. Then they got rid of the offensive coordinator, and they brought in another offensive coordinator.
Rick Scangarella.
Scangarella was the guy who went 4-1 with Drew Lock. Then they got rid of him. Then they brought in another guy, and then another guy, and another guy. They didn't develop him. And I'm watching him play preseason football right now, and I know it's preseason, but he looks like I always thought he could. He's very athletic, very talented. He's got a great arm. Played 4 straight years as a starter in the SEC. He's a good player.
But for Missouri,
Doesn't matter. He's still playing in the SEC.
But for Missouri, we'll clarify that. But speaking of your dudes, guys wanting to become the dude.
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
Besides Wilson, who do you want to see step up to be the dude here in game 3 of the preseason? They play Saturday night against the Rams at 7:00 at night.
I want to see him get the ball to the wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what the new wide receiver, the rookie wide receiver, can do. Mims. I want to see what he can do. I want to get him the ball in space to get him some confidence going into the first game. He didn't play in the first preseason game. He played a little bit last game. He needs to know that he can do this, especially if Judy's out. So you got to get him the ball. So I want to see that. I want to see our secondary cover a little better and not just have guys wide open and let their quarterbacks have easy pitch and catches to us. And I want to see our offensive line pass block much better. I want to see them keep progressing and getting better. I was really impressed with their drive blocking. In the NFL, there's not a lot of drive blocking anymore. It's all this zone stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, when they got off the ball the other night, it was impressive. So I was really happy with that, but I want to see them get better at pass blocking.
Yeah, no, the guys I want to see step up. I want to see separation for the receivers, like you say with Mims there. I want to see the guys get open. Excuse me. I want to see him get the open. It depends if Wilson play. Do you think Wilson's going to play in game 3 here much, if any?
Yeah, I think he needs to. I don't know if he will, but I think he needs to. The thing that they always use an excuse for this, Rob, because they've had the joint practices, they say, well, he got enough work during the week that we didn't need to play him in the game. I don't buy that. I think they still need time with the new system and everything to gel a little bit. So I would hope that he plays.
I think they're going to play one drive.
Okay.
And maybe a punishment drive if they go 3 and out. But I think it's one drive.
Yeah.
I think it's just to say, hey, let's make sure things work, communications work, all those things, all the stuff that can't go wrong, that shouldn't go wrong in a game, because it's your last chance to really practice those things.
Right.
But it's not going to upset me if they don't play. They do have 2 weeks. So if there are minor injuries, like every football game you have 2 weeks to recover.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're hurt, then you can't practice. So you fall behind there a little bit, but you know what? It's football. Every team's dealing with it. If I'm Sean Payton, I'd probably have him play one drive and then get most of the starters out. Like it's the whole treat people fairly, not equally.
Yeah.
Certain guys are gonna get one series, some are gonna get 2, some are gonna get 3 that are starters. It doesn't mean they're any less valuable to the team. It just means that they're working on something, they're working on rotations, or they need to see something. So if it was up to me and they had the depth, I'd say sit the starters, but I don't think that. I think realistically it's going to be one drive.
And can I give you one more guy I want to see?
Yeah.
I want to see if Randy Gregory is going to be a dude for us.
He's not a dude already for you? Like,
No.
How's he not a dude?
He's not.
Oh,
Because I don't see that guy showing up when it's needed.
He's not good at the run stop. He's more going to he's a pass rusher.
I want to see something from him that makes me feel like, man, this is unbelievable that we have Benito on one side, Gregory on the other side. We can bring in Frank Clark. We can bring in Jonathan Cooper. And, man, that's a pretty good group.
Mm-hmm. I think our front seven's probably our strongest it's been in a while, at least in depth.
But I want to see Randy Gregory step it up and show what he is. Is he really that good of a player? Because we haven't seen it here. We signed him for a big, huge contract. Didn't do anything last year, hurt and all that other stuff.
Like last year's like kind of with Nathaniel Hackett, which he's probably a great offensive coordinator. He'll be great up with the Jets. Like, have you ever taken a job and you're like, that was a bad choice?
Yeah.
And then like you work on your resume again and then turn it in, like, and Joe's like, hey Rob, how come there's a blank space on your resume for this year? What happened? I was working. It was just a bad year. And they're just like, oh, everyone's had a bad year. And that's I like last year, if there's ever a year with an organization, you kind of go, I don't want to grade it too heavily because leadership was bad. And
I get it.
It doesn't make Hackett a bad human being. It just wasn't ready to be a head coach or had different expectations of going in than what it was. So
I don't disagree with you there, but I still think this. I think Randy Gregory's got all the talent in the world. I just haven't seen a lot of it. So that gives me concern about the heart. What kind of...
I think he's just injury prone. I think that's really what it is. I am so happy we got Randy Gregory when they got him, because like for the value getting him off the Cowboys.
Well, then he better start producing.
Oh, he'll produce. He'll be fine.
You think he's a dude?
Oh, if he's not a dude, I don't know who a dude is.
Oh my goodness.
He's a dude.
He's done nothing.
He's a dude.
He's got to be a dude. He should be a dude.
I
haven't seen him be a dude yet. I haven't seen him be that guy.
Okay,
let me ask you real quick.
Yeah.
Ask you this question. It is fourth and 8.
Yeah, he's got to go get the quarterback.
Broncos are ahead by 5. The other team's driving. Is he in the game?
Absolutely. You're also looking at him from a perspective of where every game was close, because every team's like, we just got to score, 17 points to beat the Broncos.
No, I'm talking about this year.
Of course he should be in there. It's at 4th and 8 or 3rd and 8. It's a passing down. Go get him. Hey, it's like tape your ears back and go get him.
Right. I get that he should be in the game because of his talent. Will the Broncos have him in the game?
Absolutely. You're going to put him in the game.
Absolutely. I hope so.
He'll be in the game.
He's got to prove that to me. I'm just telling you that.
We're going to go to the opposite side of the dudes. Have you ever had to cut a player? Like, you've coached high school sports.
Oh God, it's horrible.
And so you're going into game 3, and cut down day is after game 3.
Oh, it's horrible.
So it's one of the worst things to do as a coach. I think people know that, but they don't realize that. It's one of those. So, like, what about a practice or a scrimmage? Like you're going into the last couple days. Like basketball for us, it was usually pretty quick. You usually give them a week, if a week, and you're usually making cut downs. It just depends. It's a numbers game, but basketball is pretty easy to see after 2 days. We usually give everyone 2 days at least, because then you're going, if someone has an off day, to at least get the people that don't have a chance off the court. And then maybe people that when they play with better talent, they get better. What about like when it's that last few practices, a scrimmage or something like that? What are you telling players? You're like, hey, Rob, you're borderline.
Yeah, you be honest with them, Rob. You that's the biggest thing. You owe it to the player to be honest as you can with them.
Yeah. What do you tell the players going into those few practices, like how to encourage them and not discourage them? Because there's some players that'll be like, oh, I'm borderline. Might as well just not even come.
Oh, well, first I'm honest with them. I'll sit there and tell them, hey, you might not play 1 inning this year, or you might not play a down this year. If you want to still try out, you can. If they come out and they try out, and we're going through tryouts and everything else, I'm going to go up and talk to them. I'm going to pat them on the back and tell them good job and those kind of things. But I'm going to be honest with them as much as I can. That's what they deserve. That's what you deserve to do to them. I can tell you, I used to tell my players, I did not get into coaching to tell somebody they can't do something. So this is the hardest thing ever for me to do. And it was. I hated that week. Mm-hmm. When I watched like Hard Knocks or something like that, when they're showing the coaches or the GM cutting a player, I can feel my heart racing a little bit, because it's just so sad to me. It's it's a tough deal. When I played professional baseball, the way they cut you is you would get off they would take you to the practice, to the spring training facility in a van. You get out, you walk into the clubhouse, and all your stuff's out of your locker. And you would have to go to the clubhouse guy, and he'd have all your stuff in a plastic bag. And they basically would just say, you're cut, and here's a plane ticket. They would have a plane ticket ready for you to go home. Wow. So you would be walking into the clubhouse, and guys would be walking out of the clubhouse with tears in their eyes, holding a plastic bag full of their stuff. It was brutal.
Wow.
Brutal.
That's rough.
Yeah, it was terrible. And I've never forgotten that. So when I've had to cut players, which we've had to do every year, when I was the head baseball coach, it was a horrible week. It's terrible. But I wanted them to know how hard it was on me too, because I didn't really want to, like I said, if we had enough field space and all that, I would have kept them all, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of part of life, and you got to encourage them to keep moving on and try other things or whatever you have to do. But it's a tough deal, especially at the professional level, because these guys are thinking, you make the team, you make $500,000 this year. You don't make the team, you're making zero. That's a big that's a big difference for these guys.
Going to go sell insurance or going to go play for the Broncos, right?
Yeah, it's tough, man.
So when you cut players, did you put just a sign up on the door, or did you like, hey, Rob, come to my office?
I've done it both ways because I wanted to give them dignity.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually would talk to each player, but it was kind of hard because you would call them out after practice, and all the other players knew that if you called their name that they were getting cut. So you did it right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I would put a sign up, on a window, and let them go see it for themselves, kind of in private.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they needed to talk to me, I was there for them. I've done it both ways. It's kind of hard, but yeah, nowadays, it's kind of a face-to-face thing, and again, when you watch it on Hard Knocks, they call them up to the GM's office and stuff. It's just brutal. I get uptight when I watch it, to be honest with you.
No, it's like watching an injury. If you've ever cut players, or if you ever got an injury playing a sport, and then you see them like, hey, let's replay that ankle turning 90 degrees in a way it shouldn't turn. Like, nope, don't need to watch that again.
Yeah,
I don't need to relive that feeling.
Yeah, the Joe Theismann injury.
Oh, yeah. So,
how did you cut him?
We usually told the guys, pulled them aside, and we usually had, whether it was an assistant coach or the head coach, usually whoever had the better relationship with the player. The last couple places I've coached, it was more putting them on what team, because we had enough roster spots versus the players, and we had enough where it's like we could add a third team if we needed to for developmental reasons. And so it was more tough telling guys like, oh, you're going to be on JV, or
that's hard too.
That wanted to make varsity.
Yeah.
And I hate using the Michael Jordan story because I think it's been so misturned than what the actual truth of it is.
I believe you. Yeah.
And so that one, you're just like, I'm not going to tell. Like, there's always an assistant coach that brings that up. You're like, he was a sophomore that got cut from, or they got put on JV. Like,
yeah, it wasn't like he got cut from basketball.
Yeah, it's like you're supposed to be playing as a sophomore on JV. That's usually the sign of a decent program, that you can't cut the varsity team as a sophomore.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So I was talking to Dr. David Bruton this week, and I asked him, I go, have you ever been in a position? Because here's a Super Bowl winning captain of the special teams player in the NFL who won Super Bowl 50 for the Broncos. And I was like, just talking, like, and I was thinking about cut down week. I was like, were you ever concerned about being cut? And he's like, oh yeah. And it took me by surprise. I'm like, he was worried about getting cut. Like, maybe I didn't know how, his career well enough, which is probably true, but he was like, I think it was in his third or fourth season, his special teams coach pulled him aside and this was when they had 4 preseason games, and he goes, hey, you better show us something. You're on the bubble.
Oh, that was honest. Yeah, that was honest.
You got to show us something. Show us something special.
How many years did he play?
8 years.
8 years. Wow, that's awesome. That's a great career.
Yeah. And he had 2 block punts that game.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great story. He rose to the occasion. I love that. And that's just a coach being honest. And that's all as a player. That's all you ask, is they're honest. They're not, they're not beating around the bush. They're not trying to, make you feel better by telling you something that you knew that you shouldn't hear or something like that. That's all you can expect. And I respect that more than anything. Just be honest with the player. Just be
Yep.
honest.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, we're going to talk about, we're going to go more into this. What position group needs the most work on the team, coach? Start thinking about that. Which room would you want to make adjustments to? We're going to have you put your GM hat on. And if you had to make some moves to improve the team, where would you do that at? We're talking about Dr. David Bruton. He is a doctor now. He's a doctor of physical therapy.
It's awesome.
Isn't it? And so he got his degree from CU, but he started a nonprofit called Bruton's Books. And what they do is they help Denver public youth in efforts with their foundation, and their mission is to improve literacy amongst the children to set them up for success. They believe that great readers make great leaders, and ultimately they can change the world one page, one chapter, one book at a time. And with your support, they're able to help address accessibility to books and implement future tutoring programs. So they have a golf outing September 19th coming up here, really not that far away now. It's going to be at Green Valley Ranch Golf Club. It's their second annual golf classic to raise money for Bruton's Books. The link's on our page here, brutonsbooks.org/golf. Go sign up a foursome, twosome, whatever. Go play some golf, meet some cool new friends, raise money for a great cause. So brutonsbooks.org/golf.
Love it.
Coach, have you got the GM hat on? Like I have a big head, so I got to get bigger hats for me to do stuff like this. But what position group, when going into week one, which position group needs to be looked at the hardest, or where would you make a move if you had to?
Make a move might be just to add depth to the offensive line.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
If I had to make a move, what group I want to see step up is the defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them step up, and I want to see the wide receivers step up, but they need to have a chance to step up, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of talent there. You got to get them the ball. You got to target them. You got to get them the ball in space. You got to let them move, and you got to let them work. Defensive backs, you got to show me that you can cover some people. There's just been way too many wide open receivers the first 2 weeks. So I think we got to shore that up. I'll be honest with you, after watching that game, I'm more concerned about them than maybe any other position group.
After hearing you talk, like, you basically named about every position group there is, just about outside.
Well, I didn't say running backs. I didn't say quarterback. I didn't say D line. I didn't say linebackers.
You listed about half the team. And so, as a GM, then would you start looking at it at the end of the year going, look, we have a top 3 corner that we could probably get a haul for. We're not going to be that competitive by the time we got to pay him big money. Do you go get a haul for him and try to build up your depth, knowing you're giving up a top 3 player in their position group?
No, he's a Hall of Famer. He's that good. I mean, he's phenomenal. I just think, I'll be honest with you, Rob, there's no way you trade him. If you do, you're going to lose a lot of fan base. It's almost kind of like Rockies trading Arenado, which someday we'll get into that. But it's right. I just look at their defensive back.
The Broncos, actually, I'll give them the benefit, are trying to win. I don't think the Rockies are trying to win.
I don't get me going on that. But it's I just think the defensive backs, I think they've been running some pretty vanilla coverages and so forth right now, and I think there's a lot more there than what they're showing, to be honest with you.
But in general, you list the corners need help, you list that the wide receivers need help, you need help at the offensive line.
I think we need depth on the offensive line.
So if you could trade Surtain for a 1 and a couple other 2s and 3s and something, it's like you probably could get a pretty good haul for him. It's like probably say 3 starters.
Yeah, I don't do that because I think he's a generational player. I think in the end, I think he has a chance to be one of the top 10 cornerbacks to ever play the game. I really do. I think he's that good. His feet are amazing. He can stop and turn on a dime. You just don't find that. That's something that's so rare. And in today's NFL, with the passing and stuff that goes on, you're not going to find anything that's he's a generational player. I think once you have something like that, you run with it and you make him, you just keep letting him progress and keep getting better and better and better. They just been vanilla. They just been vanilla in their coverages, their coverage packages, and so forth. And I do think they have some talent in the defensive backfield. Simmons hasn't played yet, and there's some things there that there's
What if you could
reasons.
trade? What if you could trade Simmons for a few starters?
Possibly why he's at the top of his game. He's older, maybe coming down on the other side of it. The only reason I don't want to trade him is because I think he's a character guy, and I think character wins. And I think he's a good leader for them. And I wouldn't now throw this name out, Randy Gregory. So ask me that question: would I trade him for guys?
Why would you want to get rid of one of your best defensive players? And like he's also doesn't have the value because of how much his contract.
If they had a chance to do that, I would do it.
What did Gregory do to you?
He hasn't shown me anything. Yeah, I don't think he really showed me a lot in Dallas, to be honest with you. He's always hurt. He's not answering the bell. I've watched him in the preseason. I'm not that impressed with his effort. And I'm not trying to come down on the guy. I'm just being honest with how I feel. I'm challenging him. If I was his coach, I would be challenging you. You have as much as talent as anybody in the league, but I don't see it.
Yep.
I'm going to challenge you to show it to me. Show me your effort. Watch Nick Benito's effort.
It is so interesting how we see the game so differently, Coach, because when you're thinking of the rooms we need to improve, the running backs room was near the top of my list, if not the top of my list.
Really?
I love Javonte Williams. I just don't trust the injury, and I think everybody behind him is pedestrian. I think every one of them behind just looks good because of the situation they're in. I don't think like P. Ryan, I think they'll be good, but I don't think they're any better than like getting rid of Latavius Murray. I don't think they're any better than what you could go probably get in someone who's going to some other team's practice squad. I don't think they're that good. I think they look good it's like I look good to other 40-year-olds that don't take care of themselves. Am I really in that great a shape? No, I can barely run an 11-minute mile.
So you would trade for Taylor?
Oh, that's not saying what I would do. I think, what team, I'll tell you what team I think should get Jonathan Taylor in a minute here. I have a really great idea where he should go. I think it'd be great for football if he went there. But I think Williams is great, but coming off an injury, I just don't trust that, he can take 20 carries or 20 touches or plays a game without slowing down more than he should. And I don't think they have the depth there. But I also think it's a room where you can add depth real easily, real quickly in a draft or trades, or like I think you could find guys. It's also one of the easiest places to go find guys. So not like if I'm putting my GM hat on, I'm going, what guys are coming out of there? I'd also obviously look on special teams. I think we have some gaping holes on special teams, which I think is also one of the more easier places to fix and cover up, because if you go, hey, just on kickoffs, kick it out of the end zone every time for now.
Yeah, especially in Denver.
Yeah, it's like just give them the ball to the 25. Who cares? It's like, are we really going to fight over 5 yards? Things like that you can solve very simply. But like the wide receiver room with Judy going down, I think because if he's out 4 to 6 weeks, which depends on how bad the hamstring injury is, you're going now at least into week 2, the 2 home games. So now he's looking to go play in Miami in September, which is probably not a great idea. To go on the road, to go play in the heat and everything like that. So then you're looking game 4 against Chicago. Okay, maybe there. And then he has a bye week to sort of recover, or do you just go right in, or is it not the bye week's not, or you just sort of where do you sort of give him the break at? Do you just sort of give him the full force first quarter off, or there's a whole bunch of, I think he's getting an MRI on it here today. We'll find out. But the wide receiver room was stronger when it started, with Judy going down and Tim Patrick going down. And KJ Hamler, with health reasons, being off the team. You have at least 2 of their top 3 guys going down to start the year.
Well, and what's his name? Guy got hurt the other night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With the high ankle sprain.
He hurt his knee.
Oh yeah.
in the
He
game.
tore his meniscus or
Yeah.
something like. Yeah.
So that's not. What about offensive line though, Rob?
I think they can solve. I think it's not as. I think in preseason, like you'd mentioned with the defense being vanilla, the offense is vanilla. I think they have issues. Don't get me wrong, and I think this is just a ripple effect of the depth. If you didn't have to trade a first round pick for Sean Payton, you probably would have taken a tackle.
Yeah.
And so then that money you paid, I forget the title, McGlinchey, you could have spent the money somewhere else or gotten more depth. The picks you had to trade away. I mean, look at all the tackles and guards and defensive linemen that the Seattle's picked up with their 4 picks they got from. The depth would have been solved, but we wouldn't have had a quarterback.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what's the point at that point?
I think we would have. People don't agree with me, but I think Drew Lock would have been that dude.
So speaking of dudes, your Vistage dude group, tell me about it.
I got some dudes in my Vistage group, man. It's awesome. So I chair CEO peer groups. Love it. It's just a great time to watch business leaders helping each other, guide each other, support each other, help each other get to the top. It's all non-competing industries on our team, and it's just I was meeting with one of my guys today and told him to email one of the other team members to go over something with him, and it's really a fun thing to build a team like this and have a bunch of good, solid character business leaders that are helping each other. And so I really like it. It's a lot of fun for me to do. It's very rewarding. Everyone on our team their businesses has grown over the past year that we've started this, and just looking for more CEOs and business leaders to be in our group. And anybody who wants to do that can reach out to me at coachjoewhite97@gmail.com. And we'll see if you're a good fit for our group and if our group's a good fit for you.
No, absolutely. Coach joewhite97@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Coach, as we wrap things up, any closing thoughts? My closing thought is where Jonathan Taylor should play at.
Okay. My closing thought, again, going into the last preseason game, just keep showing me progression. I think I've seen progression. I've seen a different culture. I've seen a lot more disciplined culture. I'd like to see less penalties this week. We had, I think, 9 or 10 last week. And I know that, again, I have total confidence in Sean Payton to take care of that. So I think that's what I'm looking for.
I think they'll improve. I think I said earlier, I think the starters will play about a drive. I'm not all that terribly worried about it, but I've got the team for Jonathan Taylor to play at. You know what team should make a move for Jonathan Taylor?
Chicago Bears.
The Philadelphia Eagles. So you were close.
Wow. Why there?
Because they have DeAndre Swift in their backfield as well. So they can then have the Taylor Swift backfield.
There you go. I didn't think about that.
So
man, they're pretty good already. If they added him to that mix, that'd be they might win it all.
Yeah,
he's a good back. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, no, he'll be good. Like, I'm surprised the Colts aren't making just a stronger move to keep him there with Anthony Richardson. They need a running back like that. Rookie quarterback. I don't know what their financials are in the sense of where their cap space is.
Yeah.
With a rookie quarterback, you typically have cap space. So
yeah, we'll see.
I would see that. I would like to think they could do that. And plus, I may draft Anthony Richardson on my fantasy team, so I'd love to have him handing the ball to Jonathan Taylor to have that as an option.
There you go.
So in 2 weeks, it'll be week 1, Coach. We're going to do a deep dive into the Raiders. We're going to see what the Raiders look like, what their preseason look like, what the love loss for Josh McDaniels is as a coach here in Denver. I'm sure there's a ton of former players that love Coach McDaniels.
Yeah.
So
I've heard some really good stories about him.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's some of them you can go, is that really true?
Yeah, that's right. It's hard to believe some of the stories.
So maybe we can find someone who played for him and sort of give us the inside scoop of what it looks like for the new or the second year Raiders coach. And then also, so what I'd love to ask him then too is like how long, because like he did go 6-0 to start with the Broncos, like how long to like in a season till the players are just tired of putting up with them, and So we get them for the first game and the last game of the year. We'll see the difference of the
Yeah,
Raiders
yeah.
throughout the course of the year. But
That's right. Yeah.
we'll do a deep dive. Are the Raiders better than we think for the Broncos? Which I'll give you my version. Yeah, I think this could be an L for the Broncos if we're not careful.
I think the Broncos should kick their butt.
They should because it's like dysfunction versus dysfunction.
Yeah. Not anymore. Not with Sean Payton.
Well, yeah, but like he's got to fix a lot of dysfunction. It's like he's like flipping a house.
Sean
It's like
Payton's our dude. He's our dude.
Sean, I'm gonna go get I should get like a Broncos visor. Like, what's a coach's jersey? Like, I don't want the player's jersey. I want the coach's jersey. So, I know you got to go, Coach. Thank you so much for the time.
This has been awesome, Rob. Thanks again. This is so cool. I love it.
All right.